Is gearing up for a big speech directed at Congress tonight. I want to bring in Greg Valliere, who's the chief U.S. policy strategist for AGF Investments, to talk about Trump's moves and next moves. Greg, great to see you. Let me just start with piece together for us the tariff strategy is implemented, but then there is additional commentary coming from both the president and Commerce Secretary complaining about all aspects of Canada's economy and perceived protectionism from dairy to banking today. What's going on?
John, you can't make this stuff up. It's really just an extraordinary story. There's probably more tariffs coming on April 2nd, I believe. So there's going to be, I'm afraid, a cycle of retaliation that will continue. It makes no sense to me. I know, and I'm sure you know, John, that Canada complied with just about everything the White House wanted, and that wasn't enough.
So for Canada itself, and we're awaiting some commentary on the Prime Minister on the thinking with the retaliatory strategy. The other question being how long this goes. Look, tariffs from both sides have an economic impact. So what do you think is going to be the game plan here going forward?
Well, I think the market is going to be crucial. I think if the market continues to do poorly, I think Trump will get the message. Trump does have an ability to have a feel for where markets are headed, and I think that will be a big deal. And the new Treasury Secretary, Bessent, who knows the markets well, I think could tell Trump this is not a real great idea.
Interestingly, we had a guest this morning who threw some speculation in the air that the Trump administration would like to see lower Treasury yields, maybe for the purpose of refinancing debt. Seems like there's a lot of moving parts to try to make that happen when they're dealing with a lot of issues simultaneously. But how do you feel about that?
Well, it's a good point. It's an intriguing theme. You've got so much going on right now, a possible budget crisis in 2 weeks. Obviously, Ukraine, a lot more layoffs from Elon Musk. And with all of this stuff going on right now, and with the tariffs, of course, I think that it's a plus for bond yields. That's one of the few good stories, that bond yields have come down a bit, good for housing, things like that. And I don't know if there's a conspiracy to make this happen, but it is perhaps an unintended consequence that interest rates are going to come down.
I just want to come back to, Trump monitoring the markets, because you're analyzing this stuff day in, day out. The common view would be that because the president is aware of the stock market and levels, that maybe there is some point where he addresses that in some way, shape, or form. But if, number one, he is deeply committed to this reshoring theme, and number two, he has a view that maybe his populist base is less invested in the stock market than those who might be most nervous about it, do you think we should be thinking a little bit less about a Trump action and a stock market reaction?
Well, maybe. He brought this on himself, in my opinion, John. And there are so many other stories that maybe he would like to divert attention away from. I specifically would refer to the budget. We are getting close to a shutdown in about 2 weeks, and it looks like there's no agreement, at least not right now. That's not the kind of publicity you would like. So it is possible that Trump may be seeking the shelter from other stories that might not be quite as negative for him.
Interesting. All right, Greg, what else are you going to be watching? We mentioned we got the speech tonight from the president. Anything that the markets are going to have to be aware of from that?
Let me go way out on a limb, John, and say I think we're actually fairly close to a Ukrainian deal. They're close on precious minerals. I think they're close on what a new border might look like. Security guarantees will be tough, but I do think that there's a possibility that this is still alive, and it may not be announced tonight. Tonight could be a pretty contentious speech, but I do think that there will be a Ukrainian deal, might come as we get into the spring.
Greg, thanks a lot. We'll keep that in mind. Always good to see you, Greg Valliere.